Hello, welcome to Band T-Shirts with Leah. That name is not very mysterious, it's very explanatory about what this is. This is a podcast about band T-shirts with me, Leah. Every week we're going to go through a T-shirt or T-shirts in my band T-shirt collection, and we're going to discuss the T-shirt, the band, the show or shows that I saw the band play at. And yeah, I say we're going to talk about it. It's got to be a very one-sided conversation. I'm going to talk to you, and hopefully at some point, if you have some questions or answers, you will put them in the comments below, and then our conversation will become a little bit more two-sided, double-sided, anyway, less one-sided. So today's band that we're going to be talking about is Birds of Tokyo. They are an Australian band based out of Western Australia. Now, the show that we're going to specifically be talking about is a show from November last year, and it was the Birds of Tokyo with the ASO, and the ASO is the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra, and the show was called Birdsongs, as you can see in this t-shirt. Actually, that's a lie, you can't see it in this t-shirt because it's written on the back, not the front. You know what, let's just pretend that, you know what, you'll see what you see. So this is the front. It says Birds of Tokyo, and then there's a sun and birds across it. It's kind of, this kind of feels like a 90s surf design. You know those graphic tees from the surf brands? It feels a little bit like one of those. And on the back it says, on the back now is where it does say Birdsongs, which was the name of the tour, and the Symphony Orchestra. So yeah, there's Perth, Brisbane, Hobart, Melbourne, Sydney, and then there's a little bit of a gap, and then it comes to Adelaide at the Festival Theatre. So this t-shirt is a little bit snug, to be honest. I think I got the wrong size, but that's fine because I have an alternate Birds of Tokyo t-shirt that I can wear, which is this one, which says Wild-Eyed Boy and has a motorcycle on it, and says like Birds of Tokyo. This is a bit more like a comic book print, I would say, more like a comic book cover actually. Yeah, they're both black, which was a great choice by me to add another black t-shirt to the collection. And you know what, I think I might figure out a way to kind of chalk this up in the background. I'll be back. I hoped that was going to look a little bit different to what it looks like. So just imagine that it's always in focus and not moving in and out of focus when I move. Also, it didn't want to stay on what is also a Lego box, so I've had to put some Lego on top to hold it in place. I had heard this before, but at the show they did talk about it again, that they are called Birds of Tokyo because they'd heard that there were no birds in Tokyo, and they thought if they were called Birds of Tokyo, then they could be like the birds of Tokyo, or the birds in Tokyo, I guess. I don't know if that's true. I mean, the naming, yes, but whether or not there are birds in Tokyo, I don't know about that. But I know that there are birds here where I am filming, because there was one just now. You will hear them, so there might not be birds in Tokyo, but there are definitely birds in Adelaide, specifically this Ghana land where I'm filming. I've seen Birds of Tokyo many times. I tried to figure out how many times, and I didn't really know how I could do that because I don't have ticket stubs, and ticket stubs aren't always even a thing anymore. So what I've done is where I've just tried to kind of go back and where I could find photos on Facebook or Insta, and then I've tried to put a bit of a chronology around that. So I saw them at the Big Day Out in January 2009. They did play on the main stage, and if you'd been to a Big Day Out, you will know that the main stage was actually two stages next to each other. Like one was blue and one was orange, and they did play on a main stage. I remember it being early-ish, like not opening, not that early, probably, I'd say they probably played at a time between 3 and 5, but I remember it was a great set, and it might have been the first time that I saw them live. Might have been, I don't know. Then in March 2009, I saw them at the Theberton Theatre, and that is actually where I got this t-shirt. And this t-shirt has nothing on the back. It's literally just this. There's nothing else on it, so I didn't even know when I got this because it's not like I wrote on it a date or anything like that. So this one I got at that gig at Thurby in March 2009. And I hung around after the show to meet the band and get some photos and get my CD signed, which I think this is a picture. I can find a picture of Kenny actually signing my CD and the signed CD. Later on in 2009, I'm not sure exactly when, but it was later in the year, they did play at Adelaide Town Hall, and that's where they played with a string quartet. And Diffie, he played on that tour on a grand piano too, so it was a lovely night. And the arrangement from, you know, the preparation, I guess, for that concert series is what they used to make the Broken Strings album that they released in, I think, 2010. But it was really good. I mean, it adds a real depth to your music, I think, if you can add in some, you know, different, like either classical elements or really just different instruments, because it provides us, you know, it provides a different sound to what was there before. In 2010, I saw them at Theberton again. I took my youngest niece this time. I took my oldest niece the first time at Thebby. I took my youngest niece at this time, and I also took my mum. So this was an all ages gig, which I interpreted very literally by taking an actual child and a grandparent. So, you know, it was all ages, from children to nanas. And this one as well, we also hung around afterwards so that my niece could also get a photo with the band, and my mum wanted to get a photo with Westy, the drummer, specifically. And when we were back, when we were in I don't know if you've ever been to Thebby, or if you've been to Thebby, there's a place where usually the band will come out. It's kind of the L shape where the actual theatre, and then I'm guessing what is the green room or whatever it's called, and then there's a car park there, and that's usually where they would come out, the band, if they were going to come out and meet people. And when we were standing around there, and Kenny did say to me, "Oh, hello, you again, right?" And I just was like this, "Oh, what?" Like, you know, because obviously now I've seen him like 2 or 3 times in less than a year. I was like, "Oh, what? No." And then he's like, "Yeah, you're back again." And I was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." I blatantly lied. I was like, "No, I don't know anything." Nah. Anyway, went off, walked off, which my mum thought was very funny. And now she will say that to me every now and again. "Oh, look, you again." Yeah, good times. Anyway, I wasn't super put off by that, because in 2011, I saw them again at Heaven or HQ. Who knows what it's called now, but what is that new market complex that I think has been closed for some time now. So I saw Kenny after that gig and have a very awkward smile in this photo. I don't know what was wrong with me. Probably a lot of things, but anyway, here we go. And the last time I saw them, which there's quite a big gap here, so from that 2011, I don't know if I saw them anywhere in between. There probably was a Big Day Out. Oh no, because the Big Day Out finished not long after that. Anyway, I don't know if I saw them again, but until 2018, and that's where they were supporting live at the Clipsal, or Adelaide 500, or whatever they call that car race now. I don't know. Whatever the V8 supercar thing is called, that. This was another outdoor set, because of course, you know, it's actually on the track. That's where they play the show. Just as an aside, I'll be seeing live again in about 6 weeks with Incubus. So that is the history of how many times I think I've seen. Well, I know I've seen Birds of Tokyo, but I might have seen them also at other times. So there were 2 Birdsong shows that played in Adelaide. So one was on the Thursday night and one was on the Friday night. So I would choose to go on a Friday night, but I went on the Thursday, the 30th of November, because I was going to go see Foo Fighters on the 2nd of December on the Saturday night. So they were very close together, and I just wanted to give myself a little break in between. So this show, I reckon, was about $110. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It wasn't more than that. I wasn't sure what to expect from the set list. I was pretty sure, given their popularity, that they would play like Lanterns and Plans and Good Lord, which is fair enough because they're very popular, but I was hoping that they would play a real mix of songs from across our full catalogue. Just, you know, because I really love the first 2 albums, so I wanted to see more of that, obviously. So anyway, when you get into the theatre, because Festival Theatre is like a proper theatre, it's usually where they play like ballet and the opera and musicals. That's the theatre that they play in. And it was really nice actually to see all of the instruments on stage and the variety of instruments that they had, including these massive pipe thing. I didn't know what they're called, but they were huge, like taller than a person. And when my friend and I, we were watching them, we're like, when are they going to play that thing though? When are they going to play that? What sound does it make? We don't know. We haven't heard them before. So yeah, when they did go to play it, she just gave me a little thing and then pointed at it like they're about to do it. But it was so good to see it, the whole lot on stage, because the orchestra is usually hidden in the pit. You don't really get to see them. You get to see a little bit sometimes of a hand come up, you know, when they're waving or acknowledging the audience, but you don't really get to see them unless you're in a seat that really allows you to see into that pit. But otherwise, you don't see them. So it was really great to see him on the stage. With the busyness of the stage, though, Westy was hidden a little bit. He was on the opposite side to us, so we were right on the left side, and so he was more on the right side. And because the stage was so full, he was a little bit hidden. We could still see him, but sometimes you had to be like, oh, there he is. No, I see him now. But anyway, we could see him. So the conductor for our shows was different from the conductor that they had for the rest of the tour. It was Vanessa Scamell. I don't know if I said that right. She was pretty amazing. Like, and she came out, she's quite tiny, and she had on this little black dress with like really big red heels, and you know, very small but very commanding presence when she was actually at the front of the stage. And during the show as well, hey, she also played on the piano and did a bit of singing in one of the songs. And she played on the piano with those big heels. It's pretty great. So the orchestra came out and got settled, then the conductor came out, and then the band came out, and Kenny was wearing my most favourite of all the man jeans, the black skinny leg with holes in the knees. Honestly, the best jeans. I mean, the rest of the stage looked great. They had these big like origami cranes hanging from different points from the ceiling. They kind of looked like they were glowing as well, which looked really nice and gave again kind of enhanced the grandness of the show, because usually, I mean, if you're used to seeing a 5-piece band and now suddenly they're on this full stage with heaps more people because there's a full orchestra there, you know, you want it to feel a little bit special, and it did feel special. It also did feel a little bit different because it was in a theatre and people behave differently in a theatre. And for the benefit of the band, for this type of show, you need to act in an un-theatre-like way. So they want us to clap and sing and dance, which isn't not what people normally do when they're in theatre, right? They'll clap at certain parts, but you're not really singing along with things, and you're definitely not standing up and having a sing-along, or unless it's Rocky Horror, and then there's a lot more audience involvement in that show. But generally speaking, people did not behave too un-theatre-like, even though I think a show like this benefits from people behaving in a different way to what they normally would. I didn't take very many videos, firstly because I myself was here acting in a very theatre way and not filming in the theatre, but also we did see them, like the ushers kind of coming in and tapping people and getting them to stop if they were filming. So I didn't get a lot of filming, so I did take a couple of photos when I was rebelliously acting un-theatre-like. Their set list was diverse. That was really good. They did a couple of covers, and then they also did a broad range of songs from across their catalogue. Again, if you watch the Stormzy podcast, you know I didn't write it down. I don't know. You probably find it online. Maybe not every show of the tour, but I'd say it would be a fairly similar set list, given that the different actually, you know what? No, because I reckon they use a different orchestra in every city, so they can mix it up a little bit more in terms of how they do it. Although, because they have to be arranged differently, they probably didn't mix it up too much, if at all. I don't know. Anyway, the point of that story was I didn't write them down. You might be able to find a version online. There was an intermission. I think it went for about 2 hours all up. So yeah, about an hour-ish to start with, or maybe 55 minutes intermission, and then another 45-50 minutes afterwards. They did play Broken Bones, which I was very happy about because I like that song very much. They played a stripped-back version of Greatest Mistakes. It was Kenny and Sparksy out the front, and the violinist, I had to write this down, Cameron Hill. It was just the three of them playing, and that was really nice. It was quite special actually, because again, when something is stripped back a bit like that, I feel like you kind of lean in to get like, what's happening? What are they doing? There They did a cover of Hurt, and my friend Jade, who came with us, she's one of the biggest Nine Inch Nails fans that I know. Probably know two who are probably equally big fans, and you know, when they said that they were going to do a cover, you know, we're like, ooh. And then when they said, you know, it's a 9 Inch Nails song, so we both looked at each other and we're like, ooh. And then when he said, you know, how it's kind of, Johnny Cash has kind of really made this song his own though, and then we were like, oh my god, because, you know, now we're like, oh, we know what this song is. Yeah, and so when they finished though, we did look at each other and we were both like, and we both said at the exact same time, oh my god, that was so good. Like, obviously the Johnny Cash version reigned supreme, but this was a good cover because it did something different. The original is so great and it's deeply personal song, and yet when Johnny Cash covers it, it's somehow more personal, which is a bizarre thing to think because it is a cover. But I don't know, the way that he breaks it down and like the rawness of, I always think of his hands, like the aging of his hands, you know, well, the age on his hands. Anyway, yeah, so it's Johnny Cash, obviously, and then 9 Inch Nails. But this was very good. I'd put it up very high because it was a very solid cover. But we did, though. We both looked at each other at the exact same time. That was so good. During this fire, people did actually stand up in this one, have a bit of a sing-along and a little dance with some encouragement from the band. Like, come on, like, let's get into this, you know. But it was very limited, and I think it is because of the setting, and I think it's as well because of the way that people feel like they have to behave in that space, and because as well I'd say that there would have also been a contingent of people who were there because they're more patrons of the ASO rather than just Birds of Tokyo. I mean, I like both. I think classical music is really wonderful, and I think that ASO is such a great, we're so lucky to have them in Adelaide. But they might not have, I mean, they weren't acting like they were at a rock band. Anyway, my point is that didn't act like they were at a rock band. But you know what? People pay their money, they enjoy it the way they want, and that's fine, right? Because it's not up to us to police how other people enjoy their time. But it was a bit like people kind of stood up when they did. It was kind of from the outside and then moved in a little bit. But yeah, if they didn't stand up in the middle, then nobody stood up. I guess because they didn't want to block other people's view, but they kind of crept in from the sides. And to be fair, I think our side was better. Our side was more fun, I'm sure. Our side was more active anyway. They closed with lanterns, and I did do a little sneaky film of this because I also did think, we're at the end, they're not going to kick me out now. And also, I'm not filming the whole thing. It's probably like 10 to 20 seconds.
We marched with the midnight sun. We will light our way with our lanterns on. We marched.
It probably sounds a little bit of a naff way to describe it, but it was a really wonderful night. Like, it was, you know, because you're going into a theatre, it's really comfortable, like it's all temperature controlled. I mean, some of these are like, at that big day out, I reckon it would have been hot anyway, because it would have been like the end of January, so it would have been at least 35 degrees. And then it's outside and it's in the peak of summer and the peak of the day with the sun high, like it's hot, right? And then you go to Clips Hill and it's very full of people who've been at a car race all day and they've been on the cans, and now they're at this concert at the end of the night. Yeah, and so this was very nice. It was a very nice evening.
Adelaide, my friends, like I said, this is a bit of a dream come true.
Yeah, and it was just very special. It does seem like they have a lot of songs that really lend themselves to this treatment, to the addition of the to an orchestra, you know, the different sounds and the different depth that you get with that. And I was thinking it is probably because of their catalogue that it works, but maybe I think that subconsciously because I saw the Broken Strings tour in 2009. But then also when you're watching it, you're thinking, oh yeah, this works, this works, this works. And then now I was just thinking, no, that's probably true for all bands. Like anybody who's got a song, they can do something different with it, right? You can reimagine it. If it's got a really heavy bass, you can pull back the bass and put it, like you can focus on a different thing. And I guess it's about how you reimagine it and how you, and then in this particular case, how you arrange the songs differently. But maybe not everyone has the desire to do that or the skill to do that or both. But I think that they selected their songs very well that they chose to do in this set, and it was a really enjoyable time. So my favourite song or favourite songs. So my favourite albums of Birds of Tokyo would be their two earlier ones, Day One and Universes. In these ones, Kenny has a kind of breathlessness or breathiness that is more pronounced than when he sings with Carnival, and I like that. It feels not softer and a bit rawer, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in the absolute best way. There's I guess the kind of vocal vulnerability that you get in those albums that isn't as prevalent as their albums come along, but I really like that. So I love Violet, Rest Here My Brother, Wayside, Medicine, Silhouette, love. I really like If This Ship Sinks and The Gap from the self-titled albums. It's not just the first two, but it's a lot the first two. But Broken Bones is probably my favourite song. You know, it's Broken Bones. This Busted Smile. It's probably because I got a bit of a crooked smile too, I reckon. But also I just think it's a song that builds so well. It has such great light and shade in it, and it builds, and I think that's just such a skill, you know, when you're listening to something and you can feel you can feel something firstly, but you notice the real change. Anyway, I've seen them so many times that I also know exactly what Kenny's face looks like in some of those parts where he's singing that kind of, I know exactly what his face looks like. That's how many times I've seen it, and also because I just love that song so much. This time we're going to do a band that I wish I'd seen because I won't get to see them. And this link, it might seem a bit of a funny link, but I can explain. I don't usually like the other or alternate music projects of the bands that I listen to. Or I not necessarily don't like, but I don't listen to. I don't follow them. I don't make any attempt to listen to their music. I don't get involved at all. I'm like, no thanks. I'm not here for that. I'm very selfish in the sense that I don't like anything that takes attention away from the thing that I like. So if I like this, it's great that you do this for your creative outlet and whatever, but I'm not a part of it. I'm only a part of this. So Birds of Tokyo is one of those exceptions, and that's because I really love Carnival, and because of that, someone recommended Birds of Tokyo to me. They're like, oh, it's the same singer, like you like it. If you love Kenny, if you love his voice in Carnival, you're gonna love it in Birds of Tokyo because it's a different type of music, but it's still his voice. Now, alright, I gave it a try and I really liked him. Now, I wouldn't call these guys a side project or an alternate project. I would call them by what they are rightfully known as, a super band. I wish that I'd seen Audio Slave. I was very lucky. I saw Soundgarden, I saw Chris Cornell tour solo, and I've seen Rage Against the Machine, and man, God, I hope I get to see them again. And we'll get to those later, for sure. Rage Against the Machine, probably sooner rather than later, because that t-shirt, I love that t-shirt so much, and it is hanging on by a thread. But I wish I'd seen Audio Slave, and I never did. I think that Chris Cornell was such a tremendous talent. His voice is so distinctive, it's so powerful, and there's something very emotional or emotive about it when you hear him. I think, you know, like Tom Morello, he's like, that dude, man, he's still such a fighter. It's unbelievable. He still stands up for what he thinks is right, whether it's popular or not. That's not his concern. It's about what he thinks is the right thing to do. And that sometimes I know that seems like the bare minimum, but actually when people become successful or comfortable, they don't always maintain their ideologies. But Tom Morello is still he's still passionate, right? And he's still fiery. his speech, if you haven't watched it, his speech about Rage's induction into the Hall of Fame, oh mate, that made me want to run through a wall. Because he was like, it's your turn now. He's talking to younger people, which isn't me. I'm older, obviously, but you know, like, it's your turn now. It's your turn to shape the world. It's your turn to get out there and do it. Like, it's your turn to stand up. I thought it was so powerful, and I was like, man, this guy, man. Tom Rillo's he's still got that fire in him. It's so great to see. Yeah, but Audio Slave, I mean, great music. I mean, when you take that musical element of Rage Against the Machine and you add the vocal element of Chris Cornell, I mean, it's pretty magic, right? It's magic. I think it's the exactly appropriate word to use. And I find that for me, I think that I Am the Highway is such a profound song. And I think if I was to ever try the really gross task of making my top 10 favourite songs of all time, which sounds like fun but would actually be excruciating, I Am the Highway would have to sit in there. We would have to, I think. Because even though we all bring what we want and what we think and what we feel to music when we listen to it, so even if the artist has a particular intent when they create something, how we respond to it can vary depending on how we feel on that day or that week, or, you know, there's so much. They're not always the same thing, and that's not a bad thing, right? Because that's the whole point, is that we still get something out of it. But I don't know, that chorus in that, it always makes me think different things depending on how I feel when I'm listening to it. Sometimes it's a reminder to me that I'm more than what I think I am, that I'm not. I'm stronger, I've got more in me, I'm capable of more, I'm not just this singular thing, I'm the whole thing, which is can be quite an empowering thing to think about. Also, it makes me think about people that I've lost and how, again, we're more than our physical bodies and we continue on beyond that. So once the physical ends, the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, all of that still continues. So really just depends on how I'm feeling. And I just think, though, when I listen to that song, I always feel something. I never have a passive reaction to that song. And so that's why I think it would have to be in my top 10. I don't know. If you had to make a top 10, what do you think? Do you think it would be fun? Or are you going to be one of those people who has like 8 songs from one artist and you're like, oh, this is heaps easy. There's these 8 songs from this one artist and a couple of random ones thrown in that nobody will pick, but, you know, I'll just put them in there as well. Or are you like me, where you'll get to 8 and think, oh no, there's not enough spots left for what I need to put in here now. We're in some trouble. Maybe I should do this by theme. Maybe these are my top 10 rock songs. These are my top 10 rap songs. And these are my top 10 musical songs. I don't know. So that's it. That's Birds of Tokyo. If you have seen them before, if you saw them on this Birdsongs tour, like, drop me a comment down below what you enjoyed about it, what was your personal highlight. Anyway, thank you for joining me again for Band T-Shirts with Leah. I should say thank you again for joining me, because you might only be joining me for the first time. Anyway, this is a Band T-shirt, this is Leah, and this is goodbye. Bye.